currently on a hike alone this Sunday. That's kind of what I wanted to talk about today. It's just being alone and finding peace in that, and also being kind of sad about not having any friends. And now I'm not saying I don't have any friends at all. Please, shout out to those of you that have been consistent over the last few years. I think I've just been struggling a lot these last few years, in particular the last year, I think, especially to make friends. I think that's partially because of where I'm at. I think it's also just what I'm doing with my time. I'm very focused on working right now, and because of that, like I had a job before where I was working in a restaurant, and I had a lot of friends there, and that was cool. And I knew that I'd be kind of giving up, that proximity to those friends when I went full-time into the work that I'm doing right now. And I feel very grateful that I went full-time into the work that I'm doing right now as a trainer, but also it kind of sucks to not have those friends anymore. I kind of thought that they'd stick around, that we'd still be homies, but I don't know. I think there were a few key experiences along the way that made it that we're not really friends anymore. I don't know if they're just fake, but yeah, no, I've got a story for another time of how I potentially damaged some friendships. I don't really know if this is it, but this is just what I guess it is in my head. But anyway, yeah, so I think changing jobs has made it really hard because the people, I don't work in the, I still kind of work in the service industry as a personal trainer, but when I was in the restaurant, I had a bunch of people around my age around me. Whereas now, I've got one other trainer working with me. She's like 50, 60 something, and she's cool, but we live very, very different lives. And then all my clients are all older as well, and they're cool, and I like going on hikes and that with them and stuff, so that's nice. I do find friends in those areas, but I think also just the fact that I'm working so much right now, and I think I've kind of changed quite a bit over the last year or so. I think when you smoke marijuana, for example, it's very easy to have friends because anybody that smokes, they're your friend, and I do miss that aspect of it. There's that instant bond that you get with people there, but as I'm choosing to not do that anymore and sacrificing that opportunity, hopefully that'll pan out more in the future. Hopefully I'll find my crowd, my tribe, so to speak. It sucks. I remember I was when I was in my last year of college at UCI, that's when I really found a good group of friends that I, kind of the first group of friends since I got to the US, or, I had some friends in high school, but since I got to the US, where I felt like these are really my people here. I think it's because it's a very international group. There's Romanian, Peruvian, Mongolian. It was just a cool group of people. But then stupidly, as what tends to happen if a boy is in a girlfriend group, some infighting started to happen amongst the ladies, and so it kind of made things strenuous at times. And then I developed a crush for one of them and started dating her, and then that's when, stupid me for having a crush on someone, right? And so I knew for a long time I didn't want to date her, because I knew if I date her, like, this will, if like we broke up, then I'd lose the friend group, because they're a girlfriend group and they were all friends before they're friends with me, so I get it. So there's a long time when I stayed together with this girl when I shouldn't have, because I didn't want to lose the friends that I had. So that's the friend group that I lost right there, which kind of sucks. Yeah, I think it's just a stage of my life that I'm at where I'm kind of really grinding a lot, and I know that there's other people out there at my age that are also grinding, but it's hard to become friends with each other if you're all grinding. And then I don't like go out and drink so much, so it's kind of hard for me to, I have a good time when I go to parties, not really drinking or doing various drugs, but I think, people generally want to hang out with people that do the same type of stuff as them, and I'm just not really doing that same type of stuff right now. So that's a big part of why I plan on moving from here soon. I don't think moving will answer all my problems, but I think there's a bigger photographic community where I plan to move to. So I think that'll be nice. Maybe I'll have more creative friends out there, which will be cool. Yeah, it can be really lonely, but I think this is an important stage for me. I found what I also tended to do was I would just find people to date instead of finding friends, because finding people to date is extremely easy in this modern age on the dating apps and stuff, which video for another time too. But I would just start dating someone because that was easy to find, and then they'd become my best friend. But then once again, my friendship is now hinging on this romantic partner, and if you don't have that romantic interest, you can't just stick around to have someone there. That's not fair to them, that's not fair to myself. So yeah, it's just been hard, but I've kind of just gotta accept it for what it is, I guess. That's why I'm going for this hike alone right now. And I do find I've learned to find peace in solitude recently. I used to hate being alone. I remember when I was a kid, my worst fear, I remember writing it on a rock because we were doing some activity. I remember writing it on a rock that my worst fear was being alone, not in this higher level thinking sense, more in this literal sense. Like, I didn't like being in a place where I was physically alone because I felt scared. And it's interesting because, as I've grown, I'd say probably not my worst fear, but my most dislike maybe is being by myself. I just love surrounding myself with people. I just like being around people. And so it's interesting how that worst fear that I had as a child kind of has manifested itself into this kind of higher level same fear. But I've begun to, kind of accept that you're going to be alone a lot more in your life than you're going to be with people. And I found ways to fill that time. I've gone back to reading, which I used to do a lot as a kid. I like going to the gym alone, and I think it's just a good exercise to be alone sometimes. I find that being alone actually helps me to be with people more, because when I'm alone, I get this sense of confidence. Confidence in being alone and being happy by just being by myself and just being in my environment is very grounding to be alone, which I can then kind of translate when I'm in more social situations. I can more easily ground myself, I think, just by kind of being alone within, in a way. I don't know if that makes any sense. Maybe it's a little too kooky, but I found peace in being alone, and I'd like to make more friends. I don't want to be alone forever, but this is where I'm at right now. And if you're alone, you're not alone in being alone. Peace.